goods are more expensive and objectively harder to get now as opposed to last year. And one big reason for this is supply chain issues. Now, in order to understand what the supply chain is and how it affects you, we need some context. My name is Joseph, and this is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in Context. Now, first, what do we even mean when we talk about the supply chain? Well, the University of Cambridge defines a supply chain as, quote, the system of people and things involved in getting a product from the place it's made to the person who buys it. Basically, it's the people and companies that order a product, make the product, and ship the product to consumers along with the raw materials. Now, in 2020, there was a major disruption to global supply chains. The coronavirus pandemic. Factories, shipping yards, and storage facilities all across the world had to be shut down because of the risk COVID-19 imposed. But now that we have vaccines, testing, and masks, human activity across the world is starting to pick back up. But it's not a light switch. You can't just turn on globally intertwined supply chains overnight. In a story by my colleague Mike Cannell, Pinar Keskanokik, a professor in Georgia Tech's Stewart School of Engineering, said, quote, part of today's problem is the efficiency of the pre-pandemic system. And that is a key point into understanding why it's taking so long to get things back up and running again. Also, there's a link in the description if you want to read Michael's full story. Now, supply chains are optimized for efficiency. Their goal is to maximize profit and minimize risk. That means sourcing the cheapest materials, labor, storage, and transportation, along with utilizing cost-saving tactics like keeping inventories as low as possible. But oftentimes, those are not the quickest methods. Keskanokik also said supply chains, quote, are not designed for flexibility and responsiveness. They're not race cars. If you turn them left or right, they don't turn quickly. Now, on top of there being less goods for people to buy, supply chain shortages have another huge impact on people's everyday lives, and that is inflation. Now, inflation comes down to an economic concept we all know well: supply and demand. Supply chain shortages mean less supply, and that was fine when demand was low during the peak of the pandemic, but now people feel more comfortable spending money, so there's been a sharp uptick in demand. And just like we talked about earlier in the video, supply chains are not quick to start up again. So you have more dollars chasing fewer goods, which can lead to inflation. Measured by the Consumer Price Index was 5.4% in June, and by October that number was 6.2% nationwide and 7.9% here in Atlanta. So what can be done about these inflation and supply chain issues? Now, according to data by the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, these issues can be reversed once supply finally catches up with demand. But until then, consumers are left to dealing with expensive food, gas, and day-to-day goods. The Atlanta Fed says prices were up 28.2% as opposed to last year. Now, this can have disastrous implications during the winter months when people rely on heat. But now I want to pass the question off to you. How are you dealing with these supply chain shortages? Have they changed your buying habits? Why or why not? Let me know any and all thoughts in that comment section down below. And hey, while you're down there leaving your carefully worded and respectful comments, go ahead and press the like button if you liked this video, favorite if you really liked it, share it with somebody who needs to know about supply chains and how it will affect them. As always, my name is Joseph, and this is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in Context.